A few weeks ago I was obsessed with camera trapping and now I'm obsessed with squirrels. My name is Danny, I'm a wildlife photographer and I am currently living in North Sweden, and we have an abundance of red squirrels visiting our feeders in the garden, and I have got to know them all. There are 9 and I've named them. We've got Mojo, Simba, Blondie, Little One, great crew, great squad. And with this abundance of red squirrels, I was thinking, what can I do with them? What photographs can I get of these squirrels? And one idea that came to mind was jumping red squirrels. And I went onto the interwebs and I had a Google and I had a look at what existing jumping squirrel photos there were. And a lot of them had the sort of natural background, and I was thinking, what can I do that's different? And I hadn't seen any photos of bright, clean, white backgrounds. And so that was my target. And I created these perches and I got the shots I wanted. And now I'm starting to try different angles and different kind of photos. It took a couple of weeks to work out the perches and how to get the squirrels to jump. I've learnt a lot. I've got the shots I was hoping for, and I'm ready to share what I've learned and share some photos. So let's do it. I created 2 perches and it took a couple of weeks to work out how to make it. But we have 2 logs. Each log has a wooden beam, and at the top we have some platforms, which are basically like wooden panels just screwed on top. And the jumping perch is just that, but the feeding perch has a plastic box with the food, and also has a very important piece of equipment that is vital to stop squirrels climbing up the feeding perch, and that is a plastic bucket. So the squirrels, they try to work out how to climb up the feeding perch. No one has been successful, which is good. One squirrel did get stuck in the bucket. He managed to fall into it, and then he was kind of just sat there very confused about how to get out, and then he sort of catapulted out and almost died, to be honest. When I started this little project, I posted a photo on Instagram of my camera on a tripod and the setup, and someone messaged me and they were like, why don't you cut the perches shorter so you don't have to have the camera touching the ceiling? And it was because I was shooting down at the squirrels, because I wanted to get that completely white background, and there's only snow on the floor at the moment, and so I had to shoot downwards to be able to get that white background. And I am so glad we didn't cut the perches, because now I'm shooting eye level shots and the top of the platforms are the same height as the window, because I shoot from the dining room. If we had cut the platforms, then it would have been almost impossible to get eye level shots. Another great thing about the perches is that they are very easy to move. Well, easy to an extent. And that is perfect because it means I can move the perches, so I can choose what background I want, and I can also bring the squirrels closer to me, and it just means I'm more flexible with the kind of shots I can get. So let's talk about food. I am feeding them sunflower seeds, which they love. They will jump and then they will sit in the plastic Tupperware box and they just don't move, and they eat and eat and eat, and they go into this like feeding trance, and nothing I will do will get them to move. They will just, like, I will stick my whole body out the window and I'll be like, come on buddy, come on, jump, and he just doesn't jump. But now, because there are so many squirrels visiting the feeding platform, they actually have started kicking each other off. When one starts to get very irritated because he's not having breakfast, he will jump and then kick the other one off, and so I am still getting quite a few jumps a morning. But I have been told the best food source to give them is hazelnuts. with the shell. Because it's such a hard nut, they can't just sort of eat it immediately. They either take a hazelnut, run away and cache it and bury it into the ground, or they will eat it, but they will eat it from a safe spot because it's difficult for them to get into. Sunflower seeds, they can just eat, 10 million in a sitting. This is my baby. It's not gonna be my baby anymore. Cause you know why? Cause she got a new lens coming. Let's talk about equipment and cameras and settings and what you need. But to get these jumping squirrel shots, I needed a very high shutter speed. And to begin with, I was very lucky to have access to a Canon 1DX Mark II and a 300 f2.8. With the 1DX, it shoots 14 frames a second, so it is a machine. I was shooting at 1/4000th of a second to 1/8000th of a second, depending on the light. So I had the 1DX, which was 14 frames a second, and that was beautiful. But for the moment, I'm shooting on this lens, which is the Canon 100-400, which is my first love. This is a great lens. It got some actually quite decent shots with it, so I'm quite happy. And I was shooting with my 5D Mark IV. The reason the 1DX was beautiful is because it shoots 14 frames a second. 5D Mark IV shoots half of that, which is 7 frames a second. I was getting more shots a second whilst the squirrels were jumping. Another important tool I used, which was, can I reach it? Come on, Danny! Ah, I got it! I got it! I got it! So this was an important piece of kit that I was using. This is a remote switch. This plugs into the camera, and I was shooting from a distance, and everything's set up for the squirrels. The camera's on tripod, and I just sit, and when he's ready to jump, I just go. This was pretty important to begin with because the squirrels weren't very confident with seeing me, and so this allowed me to be from a distance and the squirrels couldn't see me. Now they don't really care, so I can sit at the camera and, Another important thing I did was set the focus on the lens. So I had this wooden broom, and in the middle I had some black tape. And I would position this broom across the two perches. I would go inside and use autofocus to focus on that black tape. I would then switch the lens on manual, go outside, remove the broom, and then I was getting probably around a 50% success rate as to whether the camera would take the photo at the right time that the squirrel is where I have preset the focus. I have enjoyed photographing these red squirrels so much. They are such charismatic animals. They're so much more fun than grey squirrels, and I would highly recommend this. You could easily do this in your garden. I'm going to share some photos with some funky tunes. Enjoy!